Hello, my absolutely beautiful Virgo friends, and welcome to your horoscope for October of 2022, where Virgo, it's so funny because, okay, so this month, it's busy, right? It is busy. We've got planets changing direction pretty much all month long, not to mention we've got an eclipse that's happening as well, the last portion of the Uranus-Saturn square, which I am going to tell you I'm not going to cover in this video. We'll cover it in a separate one, but with all of the hullabaloo going on in the cosmos, I feel like Virgos might be living their best life. Like, I really kind of have this energetic sense for you this month that with all of the changes that have gone on and are taking place within you, this month and November and a portion of December, I think can actually be leaps forward. The changing direction of some of the planets this month, I actually think are helpers to you instead of with some of the energies we really do need to kind of put on the brakes a little bit, but I actually think that this is very good for you this month. So now, of course, not every Virgo is feeling like they're living their best life. So if that's not you, that's okay too. There's still plenty of opportunities to use this energy this month really well into your favor, okay? Now, first of all, Virgo, I want you to keep in mind that as we are coming into this month, Mars is not going to retrograde until the end of the month, but Mars is slowed down to get ready to retrograde. So some of the get up and go, Mars, our action, get it done, let's go kind of planet, has gotten on ahead, up, and went. Okay, so there's just not this like hard, I'm going to push it forward. If you push frustration, anger, disappointment, resentment can really be the cause of that. Now, the other thing I do want you to keep in mind, especially after the 30th, is if you needed to file a lawsuit or you get mad and you're going to take on someone in some way, that traditionally with Mars retrograde, the person who starts the war is not usually the victor. So I just want you to be mindful. Now, you're going to have to do what you have to do, and your own chart will also speak to this, because what happens if you have Mars retrograde like I do in your chart? So make sure you're watching your chart as well, but I just want you to be mindful. The energy to fight, go, fight, win is not necessarily there. It's more about rethink your strategy so you're working as energetically soundly as you can, especially in your career. And also, if you've been doing a lot in your career, you may have to reevaluate pushing a couple things off of your tray table so that you can really show up and use your energy well, okay? So just keep that in mind, and that will absolutely apply as we get to the 30th, moving all the way through March of 2023. But you've got good energy to be getting some things done, especially if you replan that strategy and you're clear on why you're doing what you're doing. How are you getting that done? Is it energetically sound? Okay, we'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. But for now, let's start at the beginning of the month. On the 2nd, we've got Mercury, your ruling planet, coming out of retrograde in your sign at 24 degrees of Virgo. Good news, right? Sign contracts, make decisions. You may even feel like energetically you come a little bit more like back online, which is really kind of cool. But I will ask you to go back to August 20th of 2022. And what was happening? What was coming up for you? What were you communicating about? What were you getting organized on? What were you making plans for? Did you take yourself out onto a new adventure? You did something for the first time, maybe even on your own, its first house. August 20th. So between August 20th and September 9th, I want you to think about what was happening, because now you're still in the review of it and you might be feeling really good. You're like, I tried something for the first time and it worked. And now I feel a little bit more confident in how to move forward. Or you feel ready to engage conversation or make decisions or do the next thing. So let me know what that was for you in the comment section down below. On the 8th, we're going to see Pluto come out of retrograde at 26 degrees of Capricorn. Now, Capricorn, fellow Earth energy, but this lights up your 5th house space. Now, you can flash back to April 29th of this year when Pluto went retrograde at 28 degrees of Capricorn. What was going on for you? Because in these 2 degrees, which are really, really profound and impactful, when they come to us personally. Pluto is a planet that we better be thanking goodness it doesn't move fast, because it creates such deep destruction that can lead to transformation that we might actually just fall off the planet if it moved too quickly. So what was changing for you in your life around your children? Maybe it's you as a child. What was changing for you in your relationship with your parents? But things with children, joy, pleasure, conception, play, romance, whatever was happening here during the Pluto retrograde. One part is that things had to be destroyed, right? They had to be destroyed, died off, taken down. One of the very strong signatures I think of, especially with Pluto in Capricorn, is that for you, Virgo, in some way, do you feel like you lost a piece of your youth? Right? Not like, oh, I'm getting older, this is terrible, but is it like, in your career, in your work, in who you are in your life, in your community? Do you feel like you kind of have jumped a gap, right? Like you're to the other side and you're like, no, I'm this in my life. I'm this in my community. My child is this. They too have stepped into a different form of power and presence. Whatever it is, the Pluto retrograde time is definitely something to review. Now, as we get to the 9th, we're going to have a full moon at 16 degrees of Aries. So the full moon asks us to end something, acknowledge something, or make an adjustment, okay? Here in the 8th house space, this is about intimacy. You see into me, okay? So it's pretty deep. We're talking sex. We're talking connection with another person, the vulnerability, and maybe even you've been vulnerable with someone in their space. Aries energy, right? Like you're the warrior, you're independent, even though you're in this intermingled situation. But it can also be that truly in your 8th house, from your finances, with your partner, topics around death and rebirth, healing, therapy, astrology, you're finding your own autonomy. And I really think that that's a beautiful thing, because you're owning a little bit of the me, while you've got this sun shining in Libra in your 2nd house, which is about the we. I make money, Virgo, with the we. I do something for we, but it is me that goes in there and helps to get it done or to facilitate the change. So as the full moon is happening, it is yet again to me a signature as well of, where are you deeply shedding an identity, Virgo, that you carried for a very long time, but now you see that you are something else, or something else is possible for you to move into. And are you honoring your ancestors? Are you honoring yourself? Are you honoring intimacy and the divine wisdom as you take on this new title, okay? On the 10th, we're going to see Mercury now move into the energy of Libra. So it is moving forward, but it's still in some of this retrograde track energy, because it's not back to the degree it needs to be fully moving forward. So as of the 10th, we're still in some of this retrograde energy. Libra is your 2nd house. You may be going over, making decisions in how you make money, something like that. You're looking for a little bit of balance. The things that you value, the way that you value yourself has a lift, and you're communicating it. One thing that I think of is that, don't forget that, yes, Libra is about relationships. So maybe you're having more conversation in your relationships, and that is of value. You could be buying or selling things. This is also Virgo, my goodness, Libra is ruled by Venus. So you could see that connection presenting itself as well. But one of the other things I never want to forget, I have a high Libra stellium, and Libra is incredibly business savvy. So this is a fantastic time to bring in clients or to bring in work. How you make money, to make some decisions around that is great. Now Mercury will leave post retrograde shadow October 16th, and it's like clarity prevails as we get past the 16th. You really may feel a little bit more solid on making some decisions, okay? Now on the 23rd, things get busy. First of all, Saturn is coming out of retrograde, so coming direct. Now we've got Mercury direct this month, Pluto direct this month, now Saturn direct this month, okay, at 18 degrees of Aquarius. And this lights up your 6th house space, so day-to-day interactions. It's not your career. It's the things that happen in your job. You know, what happens on a day-to-day basis. You got to make the copy, file the thing, whatever, mundane things. And in your day-to-day routines, there's some structures that Saturn may have taken out for you because it's like, you don't need that anymore. That doesn't work. That's not a foundation you can build on anymore. So in your daily routines of health and wellness and mundane things, caring for other people, you may have been doing a deep review, right? Owning your, growing towards your expertise. Saturn really does want to achieve, so it might have been showing you at a Aquarius social level, we're going to do the training, we're going to practice, and then here's how you achieve. So as Saturn is out of retrograde, now you can start to roll that new reputation, the expertise forward. What Saturn retrograde and direct can also feel like if your foundations are not ready to level up yet, is it can feel heavy. It can feel like doubt. Right? So if you're having that experience, understand that it's Saturnian and you don't have to stay there. Work with your Saturn. Learn more about Saturn in this area of your chart. Ask Saturn what it wants, and it can really help you make this transition to the other side. But just to flashback, you can look back to June 4th of this year when Saturn was going retrograde at 25 degrees of Aquarius. What was going on? What were you working on? What were the signatures of leveling up for you? Now, also, we've got Venus moving into the energy of Scorpio, and we have the Sun moving into the energy of Scorpio. So this spring Scorpio season lights up your third house. Happens every year. Happens every year. So look back in your life. You know, last October, what was going on in your conversation, studies, decision-making, things with siblings, communication, things you were thinking about, you were learning about, books you were writing, tests you were taking, anything like that, a website, okay? All of that stuff, you do it every year in October. Now, the change to that is that on the 25th, we're going to have that new moon solar eclipse at 2 degrees of Scorpio. So this is stirring it. Okay, this is bringing impactful change to the table, but it's also the new moon. So you get to plant your seeds of intention here, Virgo. Where do you have a message to share? You want to write, you want to teach, you want to communicate that, you want to enter into contract in some way. Whatever it is though, that you're contracting into, that you're bringing into the world, you're deeply passionate about, and you're sharing it or you're talking about it. One thing I want to say is I think it can be deeply healing, right? But I also think of deep transformation becoming available. Are you teaching about transformation? Are you talking about the Akashic records? This is Scorpio energy. Are you talking about sex, right? Like, what are you talking about that is bringing change? Now, one thing to flashback to is, first of all, flashback 19 years ago. What was happening for you around having a message to share or something that you were studying, okay? But also flashback to October 2014. What was going on in your life around this stuff at that time? Because you could kind of pick up your patterns and see where you're at in your track. Now, as we get to the 28th, we're going to see Jupiter move into the energy of Pisces, so right across the street from you, so it lights up the 7th house zone. This is about relationships. Now, Jupiter and Pisces, you've done a fair amount of the work here. Jupiter's going to, you know, move on and get out of Pisces and move back into the energy of Aries after not too long here. But Jupiter in Pisces in your 7th house has really been about a giving nature in your relationships, Virgo. Where have you had to check your ego, and be of service, allow compassion, allow a different ideal to drive you. You know, in your relationships, where are you helping and supporting people with their transitions, with their restoration, with their rejuvenation, with their spiritual fitness? You're playing an active, conscious part in doing this. Where have you had relationships in your life over this last year that you lost and you're like, I need to look at that, right? These are all the good fortune and wisdom bringing symptoms of Jupiter in the 7th house, which is actually really beautiful. Now, the other thing I also think of is an expansion of your network. You know, conscious chosen one-on-one relationships. Did you grab a mentor? Did you grab a teacher? Did you lose a mentor? Did you lose a teacher? And it's all been for the better for your expansion, okay? As we get to the 29th, Mercury now moves into the energy of Scorpio, highly stimulated space, for sure that over the next 3 to 6 months, you're going to really see the transformation coming in there, like a rise in some way. But Mercury in Scorpio is exceptionally focused. So if you are writing, if you are talking, if you are making a decision, if you're sharing a message, if you're studying something in depth, this is the position that you want. Mercury is going to dig and to research and to probe. Now, on a completely other track, I do want to tell you, it's your mind, right? It's the third house. So your mind, your thinking, and Mercury in Scorpio is going to dig. It is going to dig buried feelings, buried thoughts, ideas in your mind or things that are coming out of your mouth that are about power. I'm going to take the power, not like I'm owning my power, but I'm powerful, more better than another person. Resentment, undue feelings, things like this. Mercury is going to dig here as well. And it's because it needs to. You have to probe your own mind. I keep saying it over and over again. Meditation without some kind of self-reflection is really pretty pointless, because you're not digging into your own soil to see what could be down there, not only really giving good fertilizer to your roots and to your soil, but also killing it. Okay, so this may be a time where you're looking at this, and Mercury will be in Scorpio until November 17th. Now, as we close out this month on the 30th, Mars is going to take that retrograde in Gemini, so in your career zone. So this is not a time, like, don't quit your job unless that's what you were going to do anyways. Don't do it because Stormie said so. Okay, but you could be going over your work life, your career life. Now, I also want to say it's not just career, it's soul level calling, and it is your title. What do we call you and know you as in public? Do we call you mom? Do we call you dad, grandma, manager of this, community service, caseworker, HOA leader? What is your title that we would call you in public? And Mars in Gemini is going to relook over this. Now, one of the things is it's great because it's going to say who's in my network that is helping me be successful. Right? In my career zone, who's in my network that is helping me own my title? How am I getting my new title out into the world? Now, also in title, if you used to be called married and now you're called single, this could also be a change to title. So I want to put that out there for you as well. But as Mars is traveling here, I would really love for you to look at how you're using your energy, the strategy you're going about, the decisions you're making in your career, and realign them with what feels energetically sound for you to be able to do. And know that as we get to springtime, March of 2023, you're going to have a ton more energy and hopefully a different strategy to do what you're doing. I also think that a Mars retrograde can be really fantastic for practice. So you may be practicing something over and over and over again until you get it. Whatever it is for you, Virgo, let me know in the comment section down below. I look forward to seeing how October is shaping out for you. All right, my beautiful friends, I love you, and I'll see you next month. Bye.